All right, today we're diving into the brilliant ideas from James Clear's mega bestseller, Atomic Habits. Our goal here is to really boil down the core framework that's helped so many people build better systems for themselves instead of just chasing after goals that fizzle out. Let's get right into it. Oh, you know the feeling, right? It's the new year, you're fired up, you're ready to completely change your life. You're going to run a marathon, you're going to learn Spanish, you're going to meditate every single day, and then 2 weeks later, all that motivation is just gone. And those running shoes are looking pretty lonely in the corner. Sound about right? And here's the very first big takeaway from the book that might just change everything for you. If you've tried and failed to change your habits, listen up. The problem isn't you. It's not a lack of willpower. The problem is your system. You see, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So let's talk about building a better system. The entire philosophy of Atomic Habits really comes down to this one simple idea. Forget about huge, life-altering changes. Instead, just focus on getting 1% better every single day. I know, it sounds so small, doesn't it? Almost insignificant, but that tiny, consistent improvement, well, that's the secret sauce. Because that 1% improvement isn't just adding up, it's compounding. Think of it like compound interest, but for your life. Those tiny gains start to multiply. Getting just 1% better each day means that after a year, you'll be nearly 38 times better. It's a total shift in focus, away from the giant faraway goal and onto the small daily process. So how do we actually build these 1% habits? Well, first, we need to understand the hidden engine that's running in the background of our lives, driving pretty much everything we do. It's called the habit loop. Every single habit you have, whether it's good or bad, follows this exact same 4-step pattern in your brain. It starts with a cue, which triggers a craving, which motivates a response, which delivers a reward. That cycle, cue, craving, response, reward, is what teaches your brain which actions are worth repeating. Let's break that down with a super common example. The cue, your phone buzzes on the table. The craving, you get that little itch, that desire to know who messaged you. The response, you pick up your phone and check it. And the reward, curiosity satisfied. That loop runs constantly for brushing your teeth, for grabbing a snack, for everything. Okay, so if that's the engine, how do we get into the driver's seat? Well, this is where it gets really practical. James Clear gives us 4 simple laws that are basically levers we can pull to intentionally build good habits that actually stick. The first law is all about that first step, the cue. You want to make your good habits obvious, unavoidable even. So if you want to read more, don't just leave your book on the bookshelf. Put it right on your pillow. If you want to work out in the morning, lay your gym clothes out the night before. You're literally engineering your environment to make the good habit the easy, obvious choice. Law number 2 hacks the craving. Our brains are wired to want things that feel good. So, you can make a new habit more attractive by pairing it with something you already love doing. It's a strategy called temptation bundling. For example, what if you only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising? You start to connect the pleasure of the podcast with the effort of the workout, and suddenly the habit doesn't seem so bad. Law number 3 targets the response itself. Here's the deal. The more effort a habit takes, the less likely you are to do it. So you have to reduce the friction. Make it so easy you can't say no. And the best way to do this is with the 2-minute rule. Scale down any new habit until it takes less than 2 minutes. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes roll out my yoga mat. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is just to master the art of showing up. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about finding some superhuman willpower. It's about creating a system where doing the right thing is simply the path of least resistance. You make the good habits easier and the bad habits harder. And finally, we have to close the loop with the reward. Our brains love immediate gratification. The problem is, the reward for a good habit, like going to the gym, is often way off in the future. So you need to give yourself a little win right now. Get the satisfaction of putting a big X on your calendar. Or maybe every time you skip buying a coffee, you transfer that money into a savings account for something fun. That little hit of success tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do it again. So we've got the game plan for building good habits. But what about the other side of the coin, getting rid of the bad ones? Well, this is where the whole framework gets really cool. You don't need a new set of rules. You just flip the script. Look at how elegant this is. To break a bad habit, you just invert each of the 4 laws we just learned. Instead of making it obvious, you make it invisible. Instead of attractive, you make it unattractive. Instead of easy, you make it difficult. And instead of satisfying, well, you make it unsatisfying. So what does this look like in the real world? Say you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone. First, make it invisible. Delete the social media apps or just leave your phone in another room. Second, make it unattractive. Remind yourself how scattered and anxious scrolling makes you feel. Third, make it difficult. Add friction. Log out of your accounts every time you use them. That extra step can be a powerful deterrent. And finally, make it unsatisfying. Get an accountability partner. Tell them you'll Venmo them $5 every time you break your rule. Suddenly, that bad habit has an immediate cost. Okay, we've covered a lot. The habit loop, the 4 laws for building habits, and how to flip them to break habits. But none of this matters if it stays as an idea. The most important part is turning this from learning into doing. And please remember this. This is not about a massive life overhaul that starts tomorrow. That's the old way, the way that usually fails. The most powerful way to change is to pick one tiny atomic habit and just start. The momentum you build from that first small win is what will propel you forward. So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about next month or next year. What is one tiny 2-minute action you can take today, right now, to start building a better system for yourself? What's that one small step? Because that is where remarkable results really begin.